Board and we're ready to go. Fantastic. Got it. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Welcome one, welcome all. We're going to learn tonight something very interesting, connected with the name of the Parsha, although it's an idea unto itself. That is to do with speech, the way we talk, and perspective and how we view others. We're going to begin. What's the connection to the Parsha this week? The name of the Parsha this week is Emor. Emor means to say. If you open up the Chumash, you'll see where does the word Emor come from? It comes from the verse that says, speak to the sons of Aharon. Speak to the Kohanim, the priests who are the sons of Aaron. And you should tell them different laws, especially laws of impurity. That Kohanim priests cannot become ritually impure like everybody else because they serve in the temple. But just the fact that the name of the parsha is called Emor, speak, it doesn't mean that you could speak, that it's permissible to talk, but it's telling you speak. An active word. Be active in speech. What type of speech? What type of words should we be talking about? Words of Torah? That would the first thing that come to mind would be, speak words of Torah, right? Mm-hmm. But we have a verse that already tells us to speak words of Torah. So why this instruction, speak? Can be a double instruction to speak words of Torah. So on the one hand, we're saying we're eliminating the possibility that this is an instruction to speak words of Torah, because we have other instructions for that. On the other side of the equation, we're eliminating the fact that it's talking about permissible speech, that which you are permitted to talk, because the word Emor is not a passive, it's more of an active word. You shall speak. Imperative. It's imperative to speak. So what words are important for us to talk that are not words of Torah? All right. Hold that, put that on the back burner. Now let's get into something interesting. And Bashkacha Prati is by divine providence. As we mentioned last Shabbos, we begin a new cycle of Rambam. We're learning Maimonides. The way the book of Maimonides is book Yad HaChazaka, Mishnah Torah, is a book Mishnah Torah. The way his book is divided, is studied, you can have 2 tracks, study 3 chapters a day. That way you finish the whole book in a little bit less than a year, or 1 chapter a day, and that way you finish the whole entire Mishnah Torah in a little bit less than 3 years. And there's also Sefer HaMitzvahs, which is the mitzvah of the day, corresponding to the 3 chapters and the laws that we're learning in 3 chapters as the mitzvahs that we discuss. So by divine providence, the subject that we're talking about now in the Rambam is in the beginning of his book. We just started a new cycle, and today we're learning in the 3 chapters a day Hilchas Deis, which I guess would be translated as the laws of character. The laws of character for a person. How should a Jew behave? They're all different types of temperaments and character traits. And if you want to know the way the Rambam, Torah's perspective, just simply on human ethics maybe, behavioral ethics, give a look in the Rambam, Hilchas Deis, the laws of character, the laws of ethics, and you'll see many interesting things and different tidbits, or more than tidbits, heavy instructions for how to improve self-help, how to improve your character, how to improve getting along with other people, how to love yourself and love other people. So that's in Hilchas Deis. In the Hilchas Deis, in the Rambam, there's something very interesting. In chapter 5 of Hilchas Deis, so there are a total of, in the laws of character, there are a total of 7 chapters. In chapter 5, Maimonides discusses over there the special laws pertaining to a chacham, a wise person, a Talmud chacham, a Torah scholar, laws of a Torah scholar. And he goes through a whole list of behaviors that are sort of, I guess you would say, how the chacham, how the wise one differentiates himself via his behavior, how your behavior differentiates from the common folk, everybody else. And it's important for the chacham. So in chapter 5, in the halacha 7, the Rambam says as follows. Talmud chacham, a scholar, a wise scholar, should not yell and scream while he's speaking like animals. He should never raise his voice too much. He should always speak pleasantly with all people. His tone should always be a pleasant tone. And now when you are speaking in a pleasant tone, Yizohir, be careful. The Rambam says that one should be careful that you shouldn't speak in extremes. Don't be an extremist in your words, that people are going to say, this is nonsense. This is radical. No. Speak words in a pleasant way, people understand, etc. Continue. Always initiate and say hello to everybody. Always initiate greetings. So that everyone else should find you pleasant. You should always judge everybody favorably. You should always speak words of praise of your friends. And never disparagingly. Should love peace and pursue peace. And he continues to go into the halacha continues, many other laws. So again, this is chapter 5, halacha 7. In chapter 6, we're going to focus on the halacha that we just read. Mesaper b'shevach haveiroi. Speaks. What should the Talmud Chacham always speak? What type of words should the Talmud Chacham speak? What did we say?
Pleasant.
Yep. What?
Pleasant.
That's his tone of voice.
Oh,
B'saper b'shevach haveiroi. He should always speak words of praise about his friends, about another. Always speak words of praise. V'loi b'genusai klal. And nothing that is shameful. Always words of praise, never words of shame. Now let's fast forward to chapter 6. Chapter 6 of the Rambam. Luchos Deis, halacha gimel. Mitzvah kol adam laives kol achad v'achad misro kegufoi. There is an obligation, there is a commandment that every single person has to love every single Jew like himself. Shenamar, as the verse says, you should love your fellow like yourself. Therefore, one has to always speak of the other's praise. And you have to care for their money, just like you care for your own money. And just like you care about your own honor and you want yourself to be honored, so should you respect others. And if you take honor in your friend's shame, you have no share in the world to come. What are we going to focus now on? You have to love everybody like yourself. What's the first expression of this love? You have to speak of your fellow's praise and care about their money. So the obvious question is, why the double law? Chapter 6, halacha 3 says you have to speak of your friends' praise. In chapter 5, the Rambam already told us that the wise one speaks always of his friend's praise. always speaks words of praise. Misaper b'shava chaverei, v'lo b'gnusei klal, and never of their shame. So what's the repetition in the Rambam? Seemingly, at first glance, it seems to be that this is 2 times the same law. But this can't be. So what's the explanation? So some want to suggest, or it's possible for a person to suggest as follows. Every time there are 2 people involved in a conversation, there's a giver and a receiver. There's the one talking, and there's the one who's listening. Why is it important? Why is it important to always speak nice words about somebody else? Simply, it's because of what it says in chapter 6. Because we have a mitzvah to love your fellow like yourself. So just like you like hearing words that are nice, you appreciate nice things spoken about you. Everybody does. So that person should also feel, meaning your fellow should also feel good and nice words being spoken about them. Because you care for them, because you love them, like you love yourself. So the mitzvah is focused over here on the recipient. It's all about the receiver and making sure the receiver feels good. It's an expression of my love to you. It's an expression of how I'm concerned about you. Just like the next law, care about their money. Why? Because it's your money. Nothing to do with me. I could care less what happens to your money. It makes no difference. It's irrelevant to me what happens with your finances. Who does it make a difference to? To you. And nevertheless, I have an obligation to care about your money. I have an obligation to make sure your money doesn't get lost. If I can prevent damage and loss to you, I have to care about it. I have to prevent it. Not because of me, because of you. It's all about you, the receiver. That's in chapter 6. That's the mitzvah on who? On everybody. Everyone has to care about their fellow. Love your fellow. The mitzvah is aseh min haTorah. In chapter 5, the Rambam was talking about the Talmud Chacham. There's a special law for a scholar. What's the law for the scholar? There's an addition, and that is not only do we take into account the receiver, but we have to look at the giver also. Me for myself, what type of person am I? How do I behave? Forget about what you think about me for a moment. Forget about how you feel about what's coming out of my mouth. No one's listening. No one knows, maybe. I don't know. Nevertheless, you have to speak nice words about your fellow. I have to speak nice words about my fellow. Because this is what differentiates. This is what sets apart the scholar from the regular folk. Your behavior, you as a scholar, you cannot behave like everybody else. We expect from you more. We give you a higher standard to live by. What is one of the things of that higher standard? That you as an individual always speak nice words. Not only pleasant, not only in a nice tone, but always words of praise about your friend, and never words of shame. Now, what's this never words of shame? How does that fit? Always speak words of praise, we understand? Fine, maybe. Never words of shame. What's called words of shame? Lashon hara. Oh, Lashon hara. Who is obligated to refrain from speaking Lashon hara? Everybody, not only the Talmud Chacham. So if we're following the logic that chapter 5 is speaking only to the scholar, who is to be held to a higher moral standard than everybody else, so how could it be that we tell him don't speak words of shame Lashon Hara. That is a law that applies to everyone across the board. And that's a sin. You're not allowed to speak Lashon Hara because it's sinful to speak Lashon Hara, whether we hold you to a higher standard or not. And then even in the sequence, it doesn't follow. This is a little nuanced, but the sequence. If the purpose over here is, we'll call it control your language. Control your language. In the process of controlling your language, the words that you speak, or to have full control and mastery over the words that you're saying. What do you say first to somebody? Speak nicely always speak nicely about someone else. Always say words of praise, and don't speak Lashon Hara, and don't speak bad. Or you say don't speak bad, and then always speak nicely. Which one comes first in the process? In the process of the way it works is, if I'm looking to master and control my words, the first thing is, don't say anything bad. And then start working on good. You don't say, always speak only good. And don't speak bad. Where did that just fall from? The flow doesn't go. The sentence in the Rambam wouldn't flow if that's what the Rambam is telling you. Saper b'sheva chaveroi always speaks, doesn't say the word always, speaks words of praise about his friends, about his fellows, and never speaks negative. He never speaks negative, and also sometimes he speaks nice. Sometimes he speaks nice, never negative. It doesn't work. The sequence seems to be backwards. So what is the explanation in the Rambam over here? How can we possibly understand this Rambam and what the Rambam is teaching us? So in a beautiful talk, in a beautiful teaching in 1982, in this week's Parsha, the Rebbe gave some explanation and some color to help us understand what's going on in the Rambam over here. And that is, we have to understand the line that comes first. Before the Rambam says in chapter 5 that the Talmid Chacham, the scholar, speaks words of praise about his fellow, the Rambam says the words, V'don es kol adam l'kaf zchus. V'don es kol adam l'kaf zchus. He judges everybody favorably. And this is a direct quote from the Mishnah in Masechtas Avos, an Ethics of Our Fathers, where the Mishnah over there says in chapter 1, and you should always judge everybody favorably. One of the things that the Rambam brings down la halacha, laws of character for a scholar, is to go always judge everybody favorably. Now let's think for a moment over here. Imagine for yourself for a moment. Who is this instruction being given to? And what's the circumstance? Someone is a scholar. Fine. The person we get. Now, what's the circumstance that we're giving him this instruction? Always judge everyone. Always judge your fellow favorably. Under what circumstance would such an instruction need to be given? If the behavior of your fellow was great, or the behavior of your friend was questionable. Questionable. Very good. In other words, this whole instruction is only to somebody who sees his fellow doing questionable behavior. And we're telling him, even though what you're witnessing right now is inappropriate, what you're witnessing right now is questionable at best, nevertheless, go beyond the letter of the law and judge the circumstance, judge the person favorably. We have to appreciate what the situation over here is. If he wasn't a scholar, if you don't want to go beyond the letter of the law, how do you judge based off what you see? Someone is misbehaving, so you call it out for what it is. Misbehavior. Questionable activity is questionable. Inappropriate is inappropriate. And we will respond accordingly. I respond to you accordingly. But to the Talmud Chacham, to the wise one, to the Chassid, what do we say? Judge your fellow favorably. This is the scholar. A continuation from this, says the Rambam, such a person in such a situation and circumstance, after you judge everybody favorably, says the Rambam, Mesaper b'sheva chaverei, speaks words of praise of his fellow, v'loi begenusei klal, never in the negative, never something not nice, never something shameful about his fellow. Even though what I'm witnessing right now is shameful, the behavior that I, as the scholar, am witnessing right now is really shameful behavior, right? Not only do I not call it for what it is, but I even extend myself further and call it something of praise. I completely convert the whole thing into praise. What's the connection to the Talmud Chacham? First of all, I'll share with you a story. Shared on Shabbos. To judge everybody favorably. We know, easier said than done. Who was the righteous tzaddik who embodied this trait of always judging his fellow favorably? Moshe Rabbeinu, yeah. In more recent times, the Baal Shem Tov, and a student of the Baal Shem Tov was known as a lover of the Jewish people. Shem Tov loved everybody. But even more recently was a disciple of the Baal Shem Tov and the Maggid of Mezrich, Rabbi Yitzchak of Berditchev. Rabbi Yitzchak of the city of Berditchev was known to be the advocate of the Jewish people under all circumstances. He always had a way to make it good for the Jewish people. The best attorney that the Jews ever knew. The greatest defense lawyer ever. They say the story that the Rabbi Yitzchak of Berditchev on Yom Kippur, we know Yom Kippur is a long davening, it's a long service. In the middle of the day, there's a break. It's called the Yom Kippur break. All shuls have a break between Musaf and Mincha. By the break, everyone walked out of the shul. Rabbi Yitzchak walked out of the shul, and he sees a Jew standing right in front of the shul eating a nice sandwich. So he goes over to him and he tells him, "Oi, I feel terrible for you." Because what do you mean? He says, "You must be in a life and death situation that you had to eat the food. Otherwise, you would have died. So I'm sorry to learn that you're in such a type of a situation, and that's why you're eating today." So the Jew looks at Rabbi Yitzchak of Berditchev and he says, "I'm perfectly healthy. No life or death. Just fine." So Rabbi Yitzchak looks at him and he says, "Oh, you must not know that today is Yom Kippur." He says, "No, I know today is Yom Kippur." He says, "Oh, it must be that you don't know that on Yom Kippur, Jews are supposed to fast." He says, "No, I'm well aware that Jews are supposed to fast on Yom Kippur," as he takes the next bite out of his sandwich on Yom Kippur. So Rabbi Yitzchak of Berditchev looks at him and says, "Look at this Jew. I gave him all different types of excuses how to get out of it, but he would never say a lie. Such a holy Jew, he would never say a word that isn't true." This is what it means to always judge everybody favorably. To always find something favorable to say about everybody else. Who would think of such a thing? Under the Yom Kippur, lahachis, you're eating a sandwich, you know you're not supposed to eat. You know everything. And you're doing it in front of the shul, in front of the rabbi. Some people would throw eggs at you. Some people would beat you. Some people would throw you into a basement and take you out a week later. Who knows what Jews would do? I don't know. Such brazen disrespect. What Rabbi Yitzchak say? Such a holy Jew would never say a lie. Only says the truth. It runs so deep. It's so brilliantly deep. The level one has to be holding to always see the good in every situation, to always see the good in every single Jew. What does the Rambam say right after this in chapter 5? Right after he says, always judge him favorably, always speak words of praise, never words of shame. And then he says, I'm sorry. What do you say right before that? I'm sorry. You should always initiate greetings to everybody. Why? So that they should find you pleasant. Everyone should enjoy your company. People should enjoy hanging out with you. You should have a good energy. People should appreciate your energy. How do you do this? Always say hello to people. Always initiate shalom, peace offerings, blessings of good morning, blessings of how are you, simple greetings. And here is where there's a difference between the Talmud Chacham and everybody else. The scholar versus everybody else. So the Rebbe says like this. Und davon kommt heraus a Chiluk zwischen der Talmud Chacham und Kol Adam und der Yachat Zuneinu was hat Genuss. The difference between a scholar and an ordinary person as they respond to somebody else's misbehavior. When I see somebody else doing something inappropriate, someone doing something that's an act of shame, how do I respond to that? We have to do everything we can to eliminate that shame, to eliminate that misbehavior. The question is only how. Everyone has an obligation when you see someone doing something wrong to rebuke the person, to tell them you're doing something wrong, to try and make sure that the individual never does it again. The question is the approach. How do I approach the other person? One type of approach is to tell the person in the most beautiful and pleasant way, in a respectful way, explain to them what you did was wrong. How you were not supposed to do this. Hopefully, through explaining to them the negative that they did, they'll appreciate your information and they won't do it again. But what is it all? What is the topic of the conversation? When I do have the conversation with you, what's the topic of the conversation? The topic of the conversation is your misbehavior. It's all about your misbehavior. That's what we're talking about. That's one type of approach. But then there's another type of approach. And that's the approach of the Talmud Chacham. The Talmud Chacham has to be pleasant and wanted by everyone. No exclusions. Everyone should like him. If everyone should like me, do you think you're going to like me if I go over to you and have this conversation with you about your misbehavior? You're going to find me very attractive. You're going to be interested in talking to me. You want to go out for a drink with me? You're going to be a little bit slightly, thank you, maybe you'll correct your ways, but you still are not going to love my presence. Probably. Shouldn't say certainly, but most likely. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have. So how does the Talmud Chacham do it? On the one hand, he has to get you to change your ways. On the other hand, he doesn't want to make you think ill of him even for one moment. So how do we do that? And here's where we see the order in the Rambam. The first step is the Talmud Chacham has to make sure that he's someone who everyone appreciates his spirit, who everyone appreciates his energy and his company. Then he says you have to judge everybody favorably. And then he says you always speak words of praise and never words of shame. How does the Talmud Chacham, how does the scholar go about correcting someone else's misbehaviors when they do witness somebody else? They only see the good. And when they only see the good, what do they say? They only say and talk about the good. So the conversation is a totally different conversation. Instead of having a conversation about your misbehaviors and how you have to correct your misbehavior, instead the conversation turns to all about how great you are. We have a beautiful conversation over here. The conversation is all about, I love you, and you're so amazing. Let's take the story of Rabbi Yitzchak of Raditchev. Instead of talking to him about eating on Yom Kippur, that was his job. He was trying to get the point across, not to eat on Yom Kippur. But instead of focusing on telling him what he was doing wrong, where did the conversation lead to? You are someone who's so amazing. You're such a high neshama. You're such a lofty soul that you would never say a lie. No word that isn't 100% true. Even if someone is giving you the excuse, you wouldn't take it. Why? Because it's not 100% truthful. Highlight the other person's greatness. Highlight the good that they do. Highlight the beauty that is there. And automatically, when you highlight the good, when you highlight the beauty in somebody else, the negativity, the misbehavior, and the shame is weakened. So it starts with ensuring everybody appreciates me. I want everybody to want my company. If I want you to want my company, but then I see you misbehaving, I see you doing something wrong, I'm a Talmud Chacham, I'm witnessing a misbehavior, you got to do something about it. What goes off in my brain? Always judge him favorably. Find something favorable about him. Then highlight it, talk about it, mention it, discuss it. And then you'll see you're not going to ever speak words of shame. You'll never mention the misbehavior. It's going to be corrected on its own. The light and the love that you bring forth is going to diminish and even eliminate any type of misbehavior or shame that the other person, your fellow, has been experiencing. And this is connected with the idea of speaking Lashon Hara in general. We say like this, how does it work? In other words, how does this work? Our rabbis tell us that Lashon Hara, evil talk, kills 3 people. Which 3 people? Every time it's spoken, kills 3 people. The speaker, the listener, and the subject of the talk. So now, the fact that the person who's speaking it is causing himself harm by speaking negatively and inappropriate, we get it. The fact that I'm listening to someone else talk like this, that is, I'm harming myself through listening to these words, I also get it. But why is the subject of the conversation harmed? What did they do wrong? They didn't do anything wrong. You two are talking about me. Not nice. So you two are in the wrong. How does that hurt me? How did I get included in the harmful talk? I don't even know about it. I'm in another world. I'm in another country. I don't know where. I never know. I will never know about it. The answer is language. Why do people talk? People talk to reveal what their thoughts are, or to reveal what their feelings are. That's the purpose of language. It's to reveal that which is hidden. If it doesn't need to be revealed, it stays within me. When I want you to know what's going on within me, I have to reveal that to you. That's what I do through words. The word is the revelation. When I speak negative about you, I am revealing something negative about you. I am bringing to the fore that which is beneath the surface, that which up until this point was hidden and nobody noticed it. Now, because I said it, because I spoke it, I have drawn out that negative energy from you. Not eliminated it, but brought it up. So even if you don't know about it, even if you don't know about the conversation, the revelation has taken place. As the revelation takes place, it has an effect on me. We may not even realize this. This is something fascinating. Why sometimes do people have all the time thoughts of self-doubt? People doubt their own value and their own worth. People have harmful thoughts about themselves. We have no idea where it's coming from. We don't know. But maybe, just maybe, based on what we're learning today, it's possible. It comes from other people speaking negative about us. They bring out the negative without us even realizing it. The harm and the danger and the ruthlessness of Lashon Hara, evil talk, negative talk about other people. If this is true in the negative, if this is how it works when it comes to Lashon Hara, how much more so God's positive trait is infinitely greater than the negative. The measure of good is far greater than the measure of punishment. So if Lashon Hara brings out negative energy, how much more so when we speak positive about other people? That brings out positive energy, good energy. If I'm wondering, why am I feeling so good today? Why do I feel really confident? Why do I feel really good about my chances to succeed? I don't know. I have no idea. You know what? Maybe, just maybe, other people are speaking nicely about us. And that is drawing out good and holy and good positive energy. And that's overwhelming any type of darkness, any type of negativity that may exist. And this goes all the way until the end. It doesn't end over here. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, another verse, another teaching from Ethics of Our Father. Don't judge your friend until you stood in their place. Mark always likes to say, in English. What's the saying in English?
Don't judge your friend till you walk a mile in his shoes.
Don't judge your friend till you walk a mile in his shoes. That's not exactly translation, but that's the idea. That's the idea. Until you're standing in his place, says the Alter Rebbe like this. Why does it specifically say until you're standing in his place? Why does it say don't judge your friend until you're standing in his place, until you reach his place? Because his place in the world is actually the catalyst for causing him to sin. The Alter Rebbe gives the example. Somebody has to go to the marketplace. What's in the marketplace? Someone has to go to 42nd Street. Someone has to stand on, I don't know, Times Square. Someone has to go to work every day. So automatically you have to see all the billboards that exist. You have to see every type of advertisement on the trains. You have to see the way everybody is dressed in the train. You have to see every mishagas, everybody's mishagas that they're trying, because they're trying to figure themselves out, and they have to express to the world how confused they are. And then you have those that are just with purpose trying to entice people to sinful behavior. Where is it all coming from? I need a job. This is where I gotta work. I gotta get to work there. So you're blaming me now for my misbehavior? Look what I have to go through all day long. The temptations that exist where I stand today is what's the cause for my misbehavior. That's how me, as the outsider, has to view somebody else. You can't make the excuse for yourself. We only make the excuse for somebody else. Says the Mishnah, don't judge your friend until you reach his place, because his place in the world, his place where he's working, in his family, where he was raised, his community, etc., 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 it's his place that's causing him to sin. What do you expect from such a person? How much can a person handle already? Everyone is limited. It doesn't take away from the person's free choice. And it doesn't take away from the person's responsibility. So if this is the case, let's follow this through now. I have to judge everybody favorably. And over here I'm saying, I get it. You live in this circumstances. This is the cards you've been dealt, and you can only play with the cards that you've been dealt. And therefore, I'm going to judge you favorably and say, I'm not going to judge you till I reach your place. And I'm going to say, that's what's causing you to sin. But nevertheless, still responsible. Still getting liable. Still going to get punished for your misbehavior. Can't come to court and say, well, I saw it on a billboard, so what do you want from me? It doesn't work that way. So here is the way it runs so deep that we say as follows. Judge the person favorably. Not only that I won't blame you. Not only that I won't blame you for what you're doing right now. But I'm going to see something fascinating in you. What am I going to see? You're a sinner. You're a sinner. You're actively sinning. Why? Because your place in life. How am I supposed to view the outsider? I'm the witness to this. Based on what we're learning today, a new perspective emerges. I see you for your challenges that you have in life. And I know and I believe firmly that Hashem only gives you what you can handle. You're right. Your place is causing you to sin. But you know also something else that your place is teaching me? That you have super duper amazing powers to overcome your temptations. I would never be able. God didn't give me the ability, but God gave it to you. It's very difficult, but he only gives you what you can handle. If he put you in this life circumstance, if you need to go to work in this place, if this is the way you need to travel, and these are your surroundings, and these are your friends, and this is your social life, and this is what everybody else is doing, and this is what the boss is telling, this is what the employees, you should know, I'm not there because I can't handle it. That's why they put me into rabbinics. Because God only gave me a limited ability. Focus on Torah, a little bit on the world, and that's where you're going to max. That's your best. Somebody else, God said, I'm giving you the ability to go out into the world, to face all of the challenges, to face all of the temptations. It's going to be difficult. Everyone is speaking Lashon Hara. You're going to also want to engage in Lashon Hara. Everyone is engaged in inappropriate relations. You're also going to want to engage in inappropriate relations. It's going to be very enticing. It's going to be very tempting. But I'm putting you in that situation because with that comes the ability to walk away. Your neshama is of a much greater caliber. Your inner power that you can generate, that you can come up with, is far greater than what somebody else can come up with. That's the Torah scholars. When I see you, that's what I see. When I see you misbehaving, I say, wow, look at such a type of a person. What's causing him to do this is his place, his circumstance in life, his surroundings, his neighbor, his community, his lack of a good rabbi, a lack of a good inspiration. And God says, even you, with all of these X's against you before you even start, you're able to excel. You're able to jump over. You're able to climb out of every situation that I place you in. So the power of judging favorably and then speaking the words doesn't only diminish the shameful misbehavior, it eliminates it completely. I will never say a negative word about you. You know why? I don't have anything negative to say about you. How could it be you have nothing negative to say about me? You just saw me doing something. You just saw me eating a burger on Yom Kippur. How could it be you have nothing not nice to say about me? If I see you eating a burger on Yom Kippur, say, wow, what could ever bring a Jew to eat on Yom Kippur? I could explain to you exactly why you're eating on Yom Kippur. And when I go through the explanation in my mind, what emerges from all of this is how awesome and great of a person you are. Because if the roles would be reversed, and me as I am today would be put into that lion's den, I would have been eaten a long time ago. You're still standing. Hashem gave you special energy, special koyach, special abilities. I only have nice things to say about you. The more I say these nice things, I realize there is only nice to say. Now we followed the Rambam completely. If you're going to judge him favorably, and you're always going to speak nice, you'll never, ever come to say anything not nice. Because there won't be anything not nice to say. The good will have completely eliminated any type of not nice word to say. Now let's get back to the beginning of the parsha. What's the beginning of the class? The name of the parsha is Emor, to speak. And we asked the question, what words? It can't be words of Torah, because now we have a separate mitzvah for. Right? It can't be permissible words, because that's not a mitzvah, it's not an instruction. But now we see there's a middle. What's the middle ground? There is an instruction to speak. What's the type of words we shall be talking? Good about other people. Torah is telling us, Emor, speak words of positivity about other people. Why? Why is it so critical? Because my good words will elicit from them the good behavior. The more I say nice things about you, the more you're going to behave good. Just like Chas V'Shalom in the reverse. If you say not nice things, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. But not only will it be a self-fulfilling prophecy, if I really do this to the level of the Talmud Chacham, of the scholar, I judge you always favorably, I only speak nice words about you, and I have nothing else to say. Not because I can't, because something is holding me back from saying a not nice word. I'm refraining from speaking not nice. That's not why. I simply don't have anything. I only see you for good. The ultimate level, the ultimate chassid, the ultimate only sees the good in somebody else. That's the instruction of Emor, to speak these words. Pashkacha Protius, this with, on the second day of Iyar, just less than 10 days ago, we celebrated the birthday of the Rebbe Marash. The Rebbe Marash was the fourth Chabad Rebbe. And he had a saying, he would say like this, the Welt sagt, as man kann nicht darunter, darf man rüber. If you can't go under, so then you try to go over. Und ich halt, but I hold, said the Rebbe Marash, as man darf rüber. We have to initially try to jump over. What are you wasting your time crawling under, trying to crawl under? To begin with, go over. What's the difference between going under or jumping over? The difference is in our service of Hashem. How does it work in terms of my relationship with Hashem? Going under means I'm going to deal with the issue, deal with the problem, highlight the negativity, discuss the Aveda, discuss the sin, all in a pleasant way. We don't mean any malice over here. We're not talking about someone who's malicious. That person who's malicious doesn't enter into our conversation. you're a lashon hara, you're a bad person, you have work to do. Talking about a good guy, someone who's seeking for the welfare of their friend. And out of my love for you, I want to help you. How am I going to help you? There's one way that says, I'm going to speak to you about the misbehavior. Teachers do it in school all the time. You misbehave, you have to have a conversation. Parents do it with children. Let's talk about what you did wrong. Spouses do it all the time too. We need to have a chat. Why? Because I didn't like what you said. And highlight. You always talk like this. You never talk like this. It's all about dealing with the bottom of the barrel. That misbehavior, that not nice thing that you may have done. That's one type of service. There's another type of service, which is to begin with, jump over. That's the flood with good. Highlight the good. Automatically, whatever the problem was, ain't going to be there anymore. That's what the Rebbe Maharash teaches us. To begin with, jump over it. Don't waste your time dealing with the problem. If you're in a dark room and you try to get out, there's two ways how to get out. You could tap with your hand on the wall, tap until you'll hit the wall 50 times until you hit a window, and it's a window, it's not a door. Until finally you come to the door, you'll open the door. There's another way. You open the light and you walk out. Very simple. This is to give the difference between the Rishonim and the Achronim, the earliest sages and the later, more recent sages. The earlier sages, the light was turned on for them. That's why they write much shorter, much more concise. Because for them, Torah knowledge was with the light on. But then the light got shut off. The later scholars and commentaries wrote much longer pieces. Why? Because they were tapping in the dark, trying to find the truth. But this is our service of Hashem. You could live in the dark, you could deal with the darkness for the purpose of reaching the light, and you will hopefully with Hashem's help reach the light. One service. There's a much better service. Emor. Speak words of positivity. Highlight the good. Always mention. Always compliment. Always say good things about your friend, about your neighbor, about your fellow. Judge them favorably. Say, verbalize how you've come to that positive judgment, and you'll see all the negativity is going to fall by the side. And this is Tiferes Shebet Tiferes, the beauty of beauty in the Sfiros, beauty within beauty, the most beautiful way to deal with people. What's beautiful in the eyes of Hashem and beautiful in the eyes of man. Because the truth is, it's one beauty. It's all the beauty that Hashem created in this world for us to achieve. Okay, anyone have any questions on today's lesson?